Donald Trump's friends, allies, enablers, and supporters, the ones who helped him push the big lie and attempted to overturn the 2020 election, which Joe Biden won and Donald Trump lost, are set to be the beneficiaries of a taxpayer-funded slush fund. In a story first reported by ABC News and now confirmed by the New York Times, Donald Trump is expected to drop his $10 billion lawsuit against the IRS in exchange for the creation of a $1.7 billion fund to compensate his allies who claim they were wrongfully targeted by the Biden administration. That's according to sources familiar with the matter, speaking to ABC News. The commission overseeing the compensation fund would have the total authority to hand out approximately $1.7 billion in taxpayer funds to settle claims brought by anyone who alleges they were harmed by the Biden administration's weaponization of the legal system, including the nearly 1,600 individuals charged in connection with the January 6th Capitol attack, as well as potentially entities associated with Donald Trump himself. This potential deal follows other claims he's made against the federal government. Effectively, the taxpayers, including the 2022 raid of Mar-a-Lago for allegedly hoarding classified documents, the Russia collusion investigation, and the 2019 leak of his tax returns, which 11 years into his political career, Donald Trump is still yet to release. The settlement terms are expected to prohibit Donald Trump from directly receiving payments related to those three legal claims. However, entities associated with Trump are not explicitly barred from filing additional claims. Joining our coverage, former assistant special agent in charge at the FBI and national security and intelligence analyst Michael Feinberg. Tim and John are still here. Michael Feinberg, the history, or the recent history of funds like this are things like the 9/11 Commission, right, which gave money to people whose injuries, physical and mental and legal, were from a terrorist attack. Never before has a president self-dealed himself $1.7 billion in taxpayer dollars to, I don't even know how you spin it, to take money from the government that sought to hold him accountable.
Yeah, well, it's an interesting reversal because, as you noted in the past, these sort of funds and these sort of distributions have gone to the victims of crime. And now apparently we're going to be giving these sort of funds and these sort of distributions to the perpetrators of crime. You know, I'm somewhat old-fashioned. I've always thought that if you engage in a coup attempt to stop the peaceful transition of power in the United States, assault federal officers, and generally vandalize and destroy a federal building, there should be some sort of consequences. I guess where I and the president differ is just that I always thought those consequences should be negative.
What recourse exists, if anything, in the system? I mean, it feels like this is another area like the pardon power, which the New Yorker recently reported. Those are for sale. Like this foreign trip, which had this incredible sort of presentation to the Chinese of American oligarchs and people in his own family who were doing business deals. I mean, what recourse does the taxpayer have or the voters have?
Their votes. I'm not trying to sound cynical or to minimize what ordinary citizens can do, but we are bound by the Constitution. And what we are realizing now is what the framers warned us about from day one, which is that the Constitution only works if the citizenry and leaders have Republican virtue. And I think we're past that point. We've been past that point for a while, I would argue, but we are certainly at our nadir right now. And between the pardon power, between the sort of presidential immunity the Supreme Court created out of whole cloth, as near as I could tell, because there's nothing in the framers' intentions or in the text of the Constitution that would support the sort of immunity they granted for so-called official acts. There's not a lot of recourse. The 14th Amendment, Section 4, does contain a prohibition on dispersing U.S. funds to insurrectionists, but as we saw when the state of Colorado tried to enforce some of the insurrection clauses in that amendment. The Supreme Court was having none of it. So I don't expect that a similar argument would succeed now.
Tim, there's been a thing with Trump where the amounts of money he's sought to grift and pocket have been so massive that you can't get your brain around it. You know, like 1.7 billion with a B. They're like Austin Powers numbers, right? What does it mean? But at a time when the economy is something that causes a vast majority of Americans anxiety and despair, at a time when people are foregoing health care, when people are choosing between rent and groceries, $1.7 billion more from the government after all the other things he's taken feels like sort of the other bookend to the first story we talked about, that maybe if people were feeling like they were thriving economically, this wouldn't bother them so much. But this is, again, stealing from the taxpayers to enrich himself and his allies.
Yeah, I mean, the political part of this question is, can this break through, that thick media bubble? We showed Sean Hannity interviewing him in the last segment. I don't know if Sean Hannity's asking him about this or questioning him about this, but it's truly mind-boggling. It is hard to find the words for it because it's theft, and it's bribery, and it's grift, but it's coming from us. Right? And that is the craziest thing about this. Look, Nicole, we still have enough kind of vague memories of being in Republican communications shops. Think about all the time that we talk about, waste, fraud, and abuse, protecting taxpayers' dollars, how people work hard to earn their money, and how it shouldn't be wasted by the government. They are taking money from, people that work hard for a living, and taking their taxpayer dollars and creating a $1 billion slush fund, 1.7 billion, more money than rich people have. 1.7 billion, and they're going to hand it out to their friends, criminal friends. They're going to hand it out to people that beat cops at the Capitol. They're going to hand it out to people that storm the Capitol. And there's this horrible story, I'd like to really just take this to a personal place, of a guy who was one of the insurrectionists. He climbs into the building at the Capitol. He gets pardoned. And then in March, 2 months ago, he gets arrested, or he gets, convicted of a crime of sexual assault of 2 minors. And he told the minors, he tried to bribe them to not talk to the police because he said, I'm going to get this payoff from the government. He would have been right had he not been convicted of this. Donald Trump is giving those people, the people that are criminals, that charged the Capitol, that beat up Michael Fanone, that went and subsequently molested kids, and they're going to get a payoff with our money. It's one thing if it was a payoff with whatever stupid MAGA donors' money, but it's our money. It's our tax dollars. It's such an. I mean, it is really, I think, maybe the biggest affront of all so far in a really long list of corrupt acts.
Yeah, I mean, not even just going back to our time as Republican communicators, but just going back to Trump's first campaign for president when he was going to, drain the swamp. This is filling the swamp up with the ultimate swamp creatures.